Welcome to the Scariest Things podcast, your gateway to the trends and tropes of the horror genre. This is episode 156, where we are at the end of the top 100 with the final 20 films of all time, the best horror films of all time. This is Mike Campbell, and I'm joined with
Eric Lee, top 20.
Top 20, Eric, top 20 Lee, and Liz.
Williams.
Top 20 Williams.
Top 20 Williams, yeah.
And super special guest,
Ian, maybe in the top 50, Parker.
Don't sell yourself short there, Ian.
So this is it. We've been toiling away. Well, we've been toiling away at this for 5 years, but this is the culmination of much research, much effort, much blood, and much blood.
Probably 4 months worth of actually data gathering, compiling, and recording.
Right.
You would be surprised at how much blood I spilled while I was compiling this for you guys.
like
This is not blood, sweat, and tears.
I
This
think
is blood, sweat, or this is
just
blood, and blood.
Just blood. There are a lot of spikes on my keyboard. It's my own fault.
Yeah, you didn't get enough calluses on your fingers. Now it's just you just wore the fingernails away and you just raw fingertips. That's
I got the
brutal.
special edition Hellraiser keyboard.
All right, so the top 20, and so to review how we put this thing together.
Yep.
Again, if you're just joining us, you probably want to actually back up to episode 153, where we recorded. We started the top 100.
Yep.
We invited a selected group of jurors. And we got 71 responses from a whole lot of folks, and everybody got to put in their top 25s, and we compiled all those lists to come up with this. So this is a curated list.
But there was 500. I goof this up every time. 516 films.
About that much, yeah.
Okay, 516 films was the complete list, and we whittled that down to a nice,
100.
neat, and tidy 100.
And this is a, I think it's amazing how many movies that I would have expected to make the list. I mean, we've only got 20 spots left. And there were some from our previous lists that aren't gonna. It's like unlikely to show up. Some of my favorites.
What's the biggest shocker so far for you? Biggest shocker.
Biggest shocker is probably Hellraiser 2.
Yeah.
That it got into the list.
Now I went and rewatched Hellraiser 2 based on the fact that Hellraiser 2 popped up on the list, and I am here to tell you, that film is bonkers.
Yeah, bonkers and not necessarily great bonkers.
It's certainly interesting, and it's a wild ride. But yeah, I wouldn't put it on a top 100 list, but it is. It is a wild movie.
Yeah,
Liz, what's your biggest shocker?
I don't know. I think that Friday the 13th keeps hanging on. Not the part 6.
Well, I've done a little bit of researching back through some of the individual submissions to figure out how did Friday the 13th part 6 make it to the top of the list, and that one was partly. It got a number 1 vote from the Tremble podcast. And it also got a number 1 vote from one of our directors. This was Vincente DeSanti, who is one of Robert's contacts, who did a film called Never Hike Alone, which is a tribute to Friday the 13th. And so Friday the 13th part 6 was his number 1 film.
That's right.
So that's kind of that's sort of an interesting little
spoiler
little
alert
tidbit.
Yeah.
And I think that there are some other things that, as we started wondering, how some of these films managed to climb the list. Our friend John Foley, who is the trailer maker, he put Jew on the Grudge as his number 1.
Oh,
and
that's legit.
Yeah, there was, of course, Joseph and Scott put Blue Velvet number 1. So that's how that one manages to stay on the top. Let's see, what were some of the other other interesting selections that we got here. Oh, The Sixth Sense. Jacob Allen put The Sixth Sense as his number one film.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another one of the short filmmakers, Theo Monstar, who does a lot of stuff for the Portland Horror Film Festival.
Right.
He put Bride of Frankenstein as his number one.
Okay.
And let's see. We have a
I just want to know who the hell who keeps putting Monster Squad on their list, because there's got to be a ton of people putting Monster Squad on their list.
Yeah, I had.
That's my biggest shocker. Is
well,
the fact that that's still hung on the list, and didn't it? No, it stayed at the same spot or moved up a couple. Same spot. Yeah.
Nobody
yeah.
had it as
Same
their number
spot.
one, but it shows up in the
it was,
middle of the block.
PJ
bunch
Stark's
list.
number one.
PJ Stark's number one, and then
PJ, come on, you gotta.
Chris McEnroy, who our friend who did Guts,
Yeah.
and we summoned
yeah.
we summoned a demon. He has Monster Squad as his number 9.
Okay, come on.
You know,
you
so
guys.
there's
Keith Dowdy had it fairly high.
Yeah.
Matt Holland has it on his list.
Yeah, Matt Holland, who used to run the Portland Horror Trivia Show, he took he and Catherine took that show to Buffalo.
Okay.
So they've got it. They run a horror
Nice.
trivia thing in Buffalo.
All right.
So it's it's not Mike's
It's time
flavor
for
of the
all
month,
those people
but,
to grow up.
Without giving it away, Eric and Mike, has your number one appeared on this list yet?
Nope. I'm pretty
Okay.
certain mine's going to be pretty high on the list.
Yeah, I think yours will too.
I have no idea. I can't even remember what I put as my number
Okay.
one. Oh no, it has not. It has not.
Yeah,
no,
no.
I know this.
Remember your number one.
It's like I can't. You are so ambiguous about my number one changes from week to week.
Yeah. Okay. Mine's already shown up, so I was just curious. All right. Yeah, Eric, I think yours will be
Yeah.
in the top 10. That's going to be my
Sometimes it's
wager.
Monster Squad. Sometimes it's Hocus Pocus.
Right.
You don't know. You don't know.
Hocus pocus. Well,
Did we have
shout out
anybody
to
who
Mick
voted
Garris.
on
Hey,
the
Mick
Thriller
Garris.
video again this year? That was a good one.
I think that was a legacy, so I think it's probably at the bottom of the list.
Yeah,
I think we had
it's
also
still going to be at the bottom,
What
but
did
I
we have?
agree. It's so good.
Jared put something really wild. Our old friend Jared
Yes.
Carlson, he put like Forrest Gump like in there as his number 25 because he wanted just a beat down on a movie. Gretchen Brooks, who was part of the Kaiju cast, put The Exorcist 3 as her number one.
And that has already appeared
Yes,
on the
that
list.
Smart lady.
that one showed up.
Yeah.
Catherine Michelle had The Descent as her number one. So we've got
Solid choice.
So
Yeah.
there are that's
And
you're
also
wondering-
appeared.
Yes, and so we're wondering why some of these rankings shift up and down.
Nope,
These
I
are
was,
all new.
I was only wondering about Monster Squad. that is the only thing
that was
that
inexplicable for you.
causes me pause.
What I will say is that most people's number ones are movies that have not shown up yet.
Okay.
So
Well,
they're
let's
going to
get
be
there.
in this. Almost certainly, these are movies that are going to be ones that we're going to be talking about today. Reanimator was on when I was talking about Matt. We were talking about Matt Holland, who had Monster Squad on his. His number one was Reanimator,
Okay.
which I just saw.
Yeah,
on
that's
the
right.
big screen with
Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffrey Combs.
He's aging so well. He is so good on stage.
Oh, great.
And that was great. We saw that and Bride of Reanimator at the Portland Horror Film Festival. And that
H.P.
came in at
Lovecraft.
H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival.
Yeah.
Portland Horror Film Festival. Apologies to Gwen and Brian. But what Reanimator came in is what was our number 26?
29.
29. Okay.
Wow, good memory.
Yeah. But anyways, that probably covers most of our number ones that have already shown up. There are some weird number ones that won't make it.
Right.
Like one of my trivia partners, Jerry Hathaway, he's our ringer for our horror trivia team. Have you guys ever heard of a movie called Dr. Caligari?
Yeah.
Not The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Yeah.
No.
But a 1989 movie called Dr.
Right,
Caligari.
right. Yeah.
Never heard of it.
No.
Yeah.
That's his number one. That's a weird
Okay.
one.
I don't think it's making the list.
No,
Sorry,
Jerry.
Jerry.
He's probably the only one who voted for that one. And
Well, hey,
we have
shout out to that movie, and now we're gonna all go watch it. So
Exactly.
maybe in the next 4 years.
right. And then Godzilla. We were wondering how Godzilla managed to be near the top. Clancy Peterson, who also Kaiju Cast, of
Yep.
course, puts
Well,
Godzilla
that
on
makes
top.
sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that down,
But this is not the best kaiju films of all time. This
No,
is the
but-
best
but-
horror films of all time.
but
So
the
let's
best
get-
kaiju movie
let's get
did
to
show
it.
up on the list. That's to be fair.
Yeah.
All right, so let's fanfare. Drum
All
roll.
right. The number 20
Da, 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 da.
best horror film of all time made the Scariest Things best horror moments of all time podcast.
Yes, it
way
did.
back in episode 2. This is the 2011 film Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, wow. Hi.
Okay.
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 That is high.
My number 5 movie.
Okay.
Didn't appear on any host list though. None of you guys had it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, actually, I
Okay.
do love Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, it's a great movie. We talk about a good balance between humor and horror.
Yeah, that definitely has it. Yeah, and it has. I think you listed the scene at the end of the film as
And when the elevators open and all the monsters pour out,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
just insane. That was
Right,
like
right,
me
right.
just giggling like a little kid,
right.
watching all those monsters cut loose. It was, bonkers. And, I think it also has, for the meta type movies that's about tropes, the whole fact that they sort of also mixed it in with some like sports betting kind of background,
Right.
and end of the world death cult, and the titular cabin in the woods with all the types of things that could possibly happen at the cabin in the woods. A young Chris Hemsworth pre
Thor.
Yeah, and making the heroic but misguided leap across the canyon. All these
Oh,
are
jeez. It is a funny movie. I
it
haven't
is
watched it in a long
it is
time.
great. And
You know what I'm personally shocked by is that Hollywood has not gone back to do Cabin of the Woods, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, because it seems like it really lends itself to lots and lots of sequels and prequels. And they haven't touched it, and I don't know what the reasoning for that is. I don't know if
They're too busy making Halloween.
they're too busy making Halloween ends.
well,
but
think,
yeah,
of, but think of it this way: you'd have to do a prequel because
Sure.
there's no sequel to the Cabin in the Woods.
I think you could have a sequel. I think
The destruction of the world. It could be post-destruction. It could be the
it
world.
could be
in
sort of
dis-
a post-apocalyptic kind of thing. But I think you could have multiple prequels for sure.
Yeah, I think though that one leaned so heavily on the twist of what's
Yeah.
really happening,
Right.
Because at first it just feels kind of like Evil Dead,
Right.
and then once you realize that what's going on behind the scenes, that's the premise. And I think it's
Right.
hard to redo that premise and hold it up.
I would watch, tell you what I would watch, an 8-episode run on Hulu of just Bradley Whitford.
Yes.
And
Yes.
everything that happens behind the scenes.
Right,
And it's like a
right.
drama
Yes.
/ horror,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd watch the heck out
Yeah.
of that.
Well, I guess that's what I mean is that it's so well loved, it's so well liked, it's so creative, it goes down so many paths as you point out, that it just seems like it's ripe for lots and lots of prequels and sequels and reimaginations and everything else, and it just doesn't feel like anybody's touched it. And again, I don't know what the reasoning for it, but it seems like Hollywood, you should get on it, man. This is a moneymaker.
Yeah. Well, it's beloved.
Oh
Certainly.
my gosh, yeah.
I mean, it shows up on this list, and none of us would disagree that it belongs on the list. No, it's
It's not on my
Totally.
top. It's not on my top 25,
but on the top 100,
top 100's fair.
Yeah.
I don't know
Absolutely.
about top 20 though.
I think it's a little high, but
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get to number 19.
All right,
Yep.
number 19 is a film that Mike Campbell of The Scariest
Uh-oh.
Things once said has a great soundtrack, great art direction, and one of the scariest openings to a film ever.
this has got to be Suspiria.
It's Suspiria.
Whoa, big drop, right?
about
Suspiria
the same.
Oh.
was 13 last
Yeah.
time,
Oh,
so it
okay.
dropped
Close.
6 spots.
Oh, I thought it was in the top 10.
No,
Okay.
this seems to be about the right landing spot for Suspiria.
Okay.
I think this is.
Yeah.
It is. This is probably as high as Giallo is going to get on this list. I don't suspect that Tenebrae is going to
True.
be up
To
there.
be clear, we're not talking about the 2018 Suspiria. We are talking about the
1977.
1977.
No,
Seven,
no
Suspiria.
shade on the recent one. That's also a good movie.
It's pretty
not,
cool.
It's not.
That was really good.
It's
Yeah.
not legendary like
right.
Right.
the 77,
77. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
which probably the best art direction of any horror movie ever done. I think that's
Pretty darn close.
that,
yeah.
that is it is it is influenced horror movies to this very day will use that
Right.
red and blue, yellow and green kind of odd, super saturated color schemes.
In about 1 month, I will be seeing Goblin, the group that did the soundtrack for Suspiria, as well as a million other Argento films, at the Hollywood Theater, doing a live performance of this as Suspiria plays on the big screen. True story.
Mike, do you remember
True
where?
story.
Because
Yeah.
this must have been high on your list.
I think it was pretty high on my list.
Number 7.
Number 7. Yep.
Yep. So what it means,
And I think Tom Carter, friend of the podcast, who needs to probably listen to the podcast a little bit more, I think this is his number 1 film, or at least he self-proclaimed it for many years as his number 1 film.
Yes, I believe that to be true. I think that's a legacy selection
There you go.
from the previous time around. So I think that
All
holds.
right.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to the number 18 film. Was number 23 last time, so it jumps up 5 spots.
Ooh.
All-time classic, 1986, The Fly.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Okay.
okay.
Finally, I get one
Fair.
on here. It's like I don't think I'm gonna retain my mayor's gavel, but I get one here. Go Jeff Goldblum. This is yes.
Yeah.
Love this movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is a for yuck factor very, very high. For
Cronenberg.
empathy and character development about as good as you get in a horror movie.
Cronenberg.
And good old Canadian charm, Cronenberg. and Gina Davis, not
Yeah.
Cronenberg.
No.
But Gina Davis's first, one of her early breakout performances. Be afraid, be very afraid.
And this is Jeff Goldblum's second appearance on the top 100 list after
Body Snatchers.
Body Snatchers.
Yeah, and it's you tend to think of Jeff Goldblum as the wacky Jeff Goldblum that we know now, but in The Fly, there was comedy in there, and he was quirky, charming, but he was also he got himself cut for this movie. He was athletic, and the kinds of things that the physical things that he had to endure in the makeup. Hats off to you, buddy.
Now, where are you at with the original Fly? Are you a fan of the original
Yes.
Fly?
Oh,
Yeah.
I love. I think
Okay.
the whole the opening from the opening scene where they run across the Brundle with his head in the printing press.
Right.
And it's like, what happened here? And then but they do hold, unlike the Cronenberg Fly, where you see the slow degradation of the man, and it's more of it really was an AIDS analogy. The other one was just like weird science, right? But they took that idea of the weird science, and then they made it into what makes you human, and the fear of decay, and nobody does that better than Cronenberg.
When was the last time you saw this? And does the technology hold up in the film?
I'll watch it anytime it shows. This is like
Okay.
the Liz Williams factor. If it shows up on TV, I'm watching it.
Okay.
So I
sit down and watch.
I've seen this so many times.
Okay.
Where did it finish on my list? Where's my
It's number 2 on your
number
list.
2?
Woo!
I moved it up.
Boy,
Yeah,
howdy.
this displaced 28 Days Later. I love The Fly.
All right. Okay, let's move on to number 17.
Number 17, another all-time classic, jumps up 15 spots
Oh wow!
from 2018's list. It's Night of the Living Dead.
Whoa! Big
Wow.
move. Big mover.
yeah.
Well, why is that?
Yeah. This is well. I think this.
Posit any ideas there? Sheesh.
I think I know it shows up. Okay, so I'm screening through here some of the lists. I know it shows up pretty high. Okay, and Matt Holland, it's number 5 on his list.
No, I'm saying sociologically, why does it show?
Well, it's on my list, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
It's A, because of the influence that it had on zombies
Sure.
writ large.
Sure.
B, I love the kind of cast of characters that they put in that house.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And see the ending.
Yeah.
Which
Oh,
is
yeah,
one
yeah.
of the best all-time gut punch
Shocker.
endings.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Right.
And it also was a race statement by not being a race statement.
Yep.
Oddly enough, it was just sort of, it was meritocracy. Best actor who
It
showed
was
up.
also a commentary on the Vietnam War,
Yeah.
according to George Romero.
Right. Well, the other thing, but it was that this got released very shortly after Martin Luther King was shot,
Right.
which was there was some real questions about, well, how do we,
Yep.
should we do this now? But it was like, no, it's a perfect time to do it.
Yep.
This is one of the original micro budget horror films that would influence people like Wes Craven and Sam Raimi and every
Hooper.
other small director who became a legend in the genre. That you can play it straight. You don't have to go Roger Corman silly, it conquered the world kind of stuff. You can actually do a serious horror movie and on a tight budget and change the world.
And the greatest horror director of all time with the greatest line from a horror movie of all time.
What are you talking about, John Carpenter?
No, George Romero. George Romero. And they're coming for you.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Right. No, I'm just giving you a hard time because I know that Mike has got a sweet spot for George Romero. So.
Oh yeah, he is the best. He is the best. You heard it here first.
I thought it was going. I thought you were referring to John Carpenter. I'm here to kick ass and chew gum, and I'm all out of gum.
Oh no.
So
No,
which
they're
sadly
coming for
They Live
you.
does not make this list.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
No, that is, I think also the Night of the Living Dead is because it is duty free or not duty free. What do they call it?
Out of copyright.
Out of copyright.
Oh, yeah.
Shows up on.
It's in the
on so many.
It's
movies.
in the public domain.
Yeah, public domain. So you can.
Oh, it's
you can,
on my list too. I mean,
You can.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can put it in your movie without any residuals going.
like paying residuals.
Yeah,
or anything.
and so it
For free.
Plus, any young horror movie director is going to want to pay homage to the greatest horror director of all time.
There you go.
There you go.
Liz, this was on your list?
Yes, this is number 24 because this is the first horror movie I ever saw when I was a little kid, not old enough to be watching Night of the Living Dead.
You and me both, Liz.
Perfect.
I mean, well, one of the very first ones for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think is my horror movie enabler, my uncle Steve, I'd get to go to Berkeley and he would say, "Want to watch Creature Feature?" Which was in the Bay Area.
Yes.
That was the 11 o'clock thing. And so one, I got to stay up late, and two, I got to watch scary movies with my uncle. And
Everybody needs
Night of the Living Dead.
Everybody needs a horror movie enabler, and if you don't have one, go get one.
And if you're and
You
and
can
if
find
you're,
you a support group. Yeah.
and we encourage all of you out there to be horror enablers. Find a young person and poison their minds with
That's
with
right.
the beauty of horror movies.
That's right.
Mike did that yesterday.
That's right. Yes, we watched a little Hocus Pocus.
Oh, I thought you went to go. You took some youngins to
yes,
to Halloween
we
Ends.
took some youngins to go see Halloween Ends.
And I don't know if that probably went as well as it should have.
It didn't work. You're supposed to make them like horror movies.
All right, number 16.
Number 16 is a film that Eric Lee of The Scariest Things called a stunning achievement representing what is possible in the medium given the right vision, right cast, right story, and right moment.
Eloquent.
Yeah.
Eloquent.
Is this Get Out?
Get out.
All right. I actually sort of remember sometimes of the things that I've written.
Yeah. This
yes.
was a movie I remember distinctly when you guys did this back in 2018, wondering, is it this high because it's of the moment, or is it this high because it's that good? And it is just about where it was last time. It only fell one spot.
Okay.
Yeah, I hold it's on my list. So I think it was on a lot of people's list. I think it's kind of like the not the Sixth Sense. What's the one that won all the Oscars?
Once you know the trick, you know the trick. Is that what you're trying to say?
No.
Silence of the Lambs?
Silence
Yeah.
of the Lambs. Thank you.
Silence of the
Oscars,
Lambs?
Oscars worthy. Yes. Where I think it garnered a ton of awards, and because it's just that good. Even if it doesn't feel like an inherently in your face horror movie all the time. It's a drama. It's a race relations drama by and large, with a heavy coating of horror on it.
Yep. It's just great filmmaking, and the scene with Catherine Keener and the cup of tea that's about as chilling as you're gonna get.
That was the part where you're helpless.
Yeah.
It's like no.
Yep.
And then into the falling back into the chair.
Yep.
And but I didn't see the twist coming.
Nor did I.
And and the betrayal and your favorite character.
Yeah. Lil Ray.
The TSA.
Lil Rel.
Yeah, Lil Rel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Motherfucking TSA. That's part of that movie. It's fine. I mean, it's a good movie. I think being in the top 20 is very, very generous.
I think that's where we sort of landed in 2018. Was that it is a really good film. It maybe is not. I still don't think it's probably not. I don't know that it's a top 25 movie. I do think it is a very, very good film, though.
Yeah, I
You put it on your top 25.
Yeah, it's number 12 on my list.
Okay.
And I think that it is.
Did it move at all? Did it move?
It moved down a couple of slots.
Okay.
It was still. I think I had it at 10 the last time.
Okay.
Part of it was just such an enjoyable movie. I think that the thrill I got out of it, and the description that Ian read, it was just an awesome cast doing awesome performances with a new vision director that was funny. I'm so happy Jordan Peele has stuck with Daniel Kaluuya too, and what the performance he turned in with Nope, and there's rumor now that there's going to be maybe Nope Part 2. Nope. This is Nope to Nope. But Daniel Kaluuya, turns in another, I think, really great and super interesting performance. And so I hope he gets more and more of these types of roles because he is one heck of an actor. Yeah, those two. Yep, they're a match.
Yep,
they know how, and they're different, totally two different characters.
Completely different.
Kaluuya, and you forget he's British.
Yeah,
right. You wouldn't know it from he's such a good character actor. Anyways, yeah, I'm totally fine with Nope being in with Get Out being in the top 20. So I know you get.
We'll see if Nope's in the top 20.
No, Nope. God. We already had the most recent one is Saint Maud. So we know that there's nothing going to be.
Oh, that's
Saint Maud.
I was kidding. So
all right, let's drop back about 57 years.
Oh wow!
To a movie that nobody present put on their top 25 list.
Oh, I know the movie.
What is it?
Psycho.
It's Psycho.
No, the Gorgor Girls. No, Psycho.
The Gorgor Girls.
Yeah, this is.
I think the Gorgor Girls was early 70s. Sorry.
Okay, well maybe Bucket of Blood. I don't know. I was trying to go for Gordon Lewis. Psycho. Yeah,
heck yeah.
This is. I mean, you can't argue this being for its influence and the skill that the movie was made, and that it was scary, and it changed. It changed cinema. 100%.
It literally had everything. Yeah. It had everything you could ever want in a horror movie.
Now, I got to tell you, I only saw this for the first time very recently.
Oh, really?
A few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. Whoa, a few weeks ago.
And the reason, I'll tell you, the reason why I'd avoided it all these years is because through osmosis, I knew everything about this movie already.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah,
save for maybe the first 20 minutes about why
she's
Janet Leigh was on the run. Right. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Well, in a way that you can see other directors, like you look at Ari Aster, what he did with Hereditary, where you set up one person who you expect to be the driving force behind the movie, and then nope. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Nope.
Well, so so what were your initial thoughts having seen it so recently? I'm super curious.
From a modern perspective,
Yeah.
It was all right, but putting myself in the perspective of someone in 1960
Yeah.
who had only recently been watching things like, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then thinking about how it must have felt to see something like this in the theater, which is so radically different.
Oh, yeah.
And they showed a toilet on screen.
Right.
You couldn't do that back in the 50s.
No.
That's like highly controversial.
Well,
I
and
100% get why it's in the top 20.
and showing a woman showering as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And being attacked in the shower. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I still think the final scene where he's murmuring to himself in the room is probably one of the most chilling bits of business ever put down on
with the subtle
horror film.
skull overlay that
Yeah,
you get
yeah.
that real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Tony Perkins, man, what a performance.
Mm-hmm.
So it is I think this is one where nobody had it as their number one, but a lot of people had it in their top 10.
Yep. Deservedly so. Now, did it drop at all this go round?
It went up 2 spots, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good on you, Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah. So
See what else you got in
See,
you.
I think this sort of he has now supplanted any Brian De Palma. So unfortunately for Mike's declarative
we don't
statement
know.
that
We don't know.
yeah, maybe Body Double will show
don't
or not.
know.
Is it Body? Not Body Double. What am I thinking? Oh, Carrie's showed up.
Carrie's already showed up.
So
Yeah,
I
we'll
think
see.
I think Brian De Palma's opportunity.
I believe
Phantom of the Paradise might end up.
You're
surpassing
probably
that.
thinking of Double Toil and Trouble, the Olsen twins.
Yeah, there you go.
That was a Brian De Palma film, was it not?
Okay.
All right, number 14, sticking to the 60s. This is a film that Eric Lee of The Scariest Things called the ultimate psychological horror.
Mm-hmm.
This is Rosemary's Baby.
Amy's number one. Yeah. Roman Polanski.
Yep.
Um,
I would encourage folks, if they haven't already, and I think we mentioned this on the podcast previously, the new Shudder series, Cursed Films, has an episode fully dedicated to Rosemary's Baby. And it's fascinating, all of the different connections to both the Beatles as well as the Manson family, and up to and including Sammy Davis Jr. and his dalliances with his real-life dalliances with Satanism. Fascinating little documentary about Rosemary's Baby. And they go into, obviously, the reason, I mean, much like Ian, you were just talking about with, like, watching Rosemary's Baby in a modern day context, it's kind of like, meh. But going back and putting yourselves into the shoes of somebody in 1968 is like, whoa, what the hell am I watching?
I don't know. With the recent overturning of Roe versus Wade, Rosemary's Baby
there
may
you go.
come back into
Yeah, there you go.
a
There you go.
more poignant
contemporary
context now. Yeah.
Now, Liz, was this on
It's a
your
great movie.
Was it on your list?
No, but I love the movie.
Yeah, I did.
I
too.
love Mia
I did
Farrow
too.
in it.
Yep,
It is
yep.
a great performance.
Mia Farrow and
John Cassavetes.
John Cassavetes. Thank you.
Cassavetes,
Yeah. Both great. And the great Ruth Gordon.
Yeah.
Unimpeachable actress, never in a bad role.
That's true.
Ruth Gordon is awesome.
She never got impeached.
No,
That's
she never
true.
did get impeached. Unimpeachable.
All right. Number 13 is a film that Liz Williams of The Scariest Things once called an almost perfect movie.
Ooh, what is it, Liz? Was it on Liz's list?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Then I'm going to say, what number are we on?
13.
I'm saying it's going to be, I think it might be the Strangers
It is
or
the
Blair Witch.
Blair Witch Project.
Okay.
Oh, hey now. And we know you don't like this, but you did begrudgingly watch it because of motion sickness issues.
Yeah, because of motion sickness
yeah,
issues,
you'll get it for
I
this
don't
one.
do the shaky cam, but I happen to see this on such a small TV.
That's right.
in a cabin in the woods that the motion sickness issues didn't bother me, and it's on my list because I thought it was stunning.
So good.
It is.
Stunning. Liz, why does it make your list?
Oh, I remember seeing this in the theater. Oh my gosh, the sound. That's, I think, this is a movie that depends on sound. The two directors were out there in the woods. I just love it. It's such a tiny cast. There's no script. It's like, hey, get from here to here. These are the beats you have to hit. And it is an almost perfect movie. And that last shot of Josh standing in the corner of the little cabin is so terrifying.
It's both terrifying and ambiguous.
Yep.
Right. And you going, what is he doing? What is he? Oh, cut.
But they covered
Yeah.
it. They covered it in Blair Witch 3.
Yes, they
God,
do.
they should,
No,
it's like,
God.
don't go there.
I don't want to know.
I would give it.
I have a soft spot for Blair Witch 2, which has literally nothing to do with Blair Witch, but then the remake. Oy.
I actually do. I also have a soft spot for Blair Witch too. But what I was going to say is to give another shout out to our friends over at Shudder. Another great documentary that just popped up this last year. The found footage phenomenon covers extensively the Blair Witch Project, understandably, and it gives some really, really interesting context and backstory around the development of the film. So if you haven't seen the found footage phenomenon, go check it out and read my review at thescariestthings.com.
And if you want
And
the full,
that moment just showed up. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you want the full-on Blair Witch experience,
there
is
go to Maryland.
You go to Burkittsville, Maryland, and they have
wander around in the woods.
You can spend a night in the camping in the woods where they shot the film. I don't know if I'd have had the guts to do that. That it just seems like that's called tempting fate, because that's it's that you realize what they all went out in the woods for, and I think that what made this movie for me was the raw authenticity.
Yep.
It didn't feel like they were acting. It felt like the frustrations and the arguments and just sort of the petty kind of, we're lost in the woods, those kinds of elements. And then things as simple as stick figures in the woods where they're not supposed to be just scared the shit out of you.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
Mike and I saw this together.
That's right.
And I remember leaving the theater and sort of wanting, just like check my car, make sure there's nothing. I mean, just weird kind of things where I just felt like somebody was following me. It was just that uneasy feel because it felt real.
Definitely sticks with you.
Yeah, good bet. The authenticity of shaky cam that spawned a million bad movies.
Right.
Well, and it's 1999. The marketing push for this movie, because of the internet was in its infancy, things like that. People, we thought it was real. They had the special on it. They had
because they couldn't.
It can't be duplicated. It can't be duplicated.
Well, Paranormal Activity kind of came close.
But that was a great yes. But the Blair Witch is the grandfather of the
absolutely, and
found
making
footage films, and it's the best.
Making
the
it
best
feel
one.
like you found a snuff film, right?
Yeah.
And that people would be questioning it. And there are still on YouTube today, there are people who will trick their friends by going, "Oh my God, you got to see this. You won't believe this is real." And they'll play Blair Witch, and then people will go, "Oh my God, how could they show this on film?" It's like, no, this is the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
It's 30 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that was, I think to this day, it's still, for people who aren't aware of it, it's a fun trick to play on your friends.
All right, get to number 12.
Number 12 is a film that Mike Campbell of The Scariest Things once called the greatest film of all time. Not just the greatest horror film, the greatest film.
Zombievers, finally.
It's the 2014 film Zombievers.
Yes.
Or Dawn of the Dead,
Yeah. Yeah.
There's your number one.
100% true. That is my number one. 100% true. Yep. Just pure perfection. We've covered it extensively. There is nothing to say about it other than if you haven't seen it, go rush out and get a copy. You don't even need. I went through a huge rigmarole to get a 4K copy, which had me ending up getting a 4K DVD player and a 4K TV just to watch goddamn Dawn of the Dead in 4K. And I'm here to tell you, you don't need to have all that crap to watch it. A VHS copy will totally suffice. Dawn of the Dead is pure perfection.
If you get another live experience, we just talked about the Burkittsville experience.
Right.
Go to Pittsburgh.
Go to the mall.
Go to
the zombie mall
Monroeville.
walk. Yeah,
Go to Monroeville Mall.
I
It's
think
still there.
I don't know if
the mall has changed very, very little. In fact, they have a little storefront in the mall, which is an homage to the film, and you can buy all sorts of zombie related crap at the mall.
Yeah, this is probably one of the top 5 things that you can reenact, is because they do. I mean, at least pre-pandemic, you could go, and then they would do probably around this time of the year,
Right.
the zombie crawl where everybody would dress up, you put on makeup and do the crawl across the mall.
Yep.
Yeah, this is my favorite Romero movie for sure. And,
Now, where was this on your list?
It's high.
Okay.
It is
Number 4 on Eric's.
Number 4.
Yeah. So this one again. Remember when I told you that I sort of was judging my movies of how well do I know all the beats?
Sure. Yep.
And then I had to say, okay, I know Dawn of the Dead better than I know 28 Days Later. They were both. I love zombie movies. They're my top 2 zombie movies.
Right.
But I realized, no, I owe it to Dawn of the Dead. And the whole thing of it's like, what do you do in a zombie apocalypse? It's like, and it felt like also I'd go to the mall. You could hold out there a long time. You got everything you need.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's the platform on which a number of great video games are made out of. So you can actually, if you can't get out to Monroeville, you can play
Was it Dead Rising?
Dead Rising.
Yeah.
Which is
Now, Liz,
so
you're a Pittsburgh person.
Yes, I was born in Pittsburgh.
Did this show up on your list?
No,
Oh,
but I do love it.
Okay.
But I also really, really like the remake.
Yeah, the remake's super good.
When did we
Yeah.
do that?
Super, super good.
2014 or
Yeah.
something?
Yep.
So good.
and the remake has a more colorful cast of protagonists, but Dawn of the Dead gets the inspiration points and things like heading out past the rednecks who are just taking pot shots at the zombies while drinking beer with their pickups,
Right.
which was another all the Romero class race commercials, all those subtexts,
Yeah.
layer upon layer upon layer of interesting takes on culture that he would continue to try, but he never really hit it quite as precisely as he did with Dawn of the Dead.
Correct.
All right.
Number 11.
Our number 11 movie was number 43 last time. It jumps
Wow.
up 32 spots.
Wow.
Almost cracking the top 10. It's the 1996 film Scream.
Okay.
Wow.
So this is
On my list, but this is because of the reboot and people going, well, that wasn't very good. The original is the best.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about Scream 5, to be clear.
No, this is
Right.
the OG Scream.
No. Yes.
Whoa.
Yo, this
hey,
is- this-
now.
That's one of the best final girls ever, Sydney Prescott.
Sure.
And is one
Iconic mask, ghost face, iconic lines. What's your favorite scary movie?
Mhm.
Talk about another misdirection. It opens with Drew Barrymore, and then goodbye.
Yeah.
You're on Scream for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Scream.
Yeah, Scream was one of our When the Screaming Starts crew. Ed Hartland, that's his number 1.
Yep,
So
it's my number 25.
yeah,
Okay.
and it finishes. I was seeing this showing up high on a lot of lists. I thought this was. I'm not surprised that this moved. Sharon Yeblon, our friend Sharon, puts it in number 7.
Okay.
So this is it. I think horror fans love because they can put themselves into all the tropes,
Right.
and plus that opening sequence, one of the all-time greats. Drew
Yep.
Barrymore, again, another switcheroo of.
Yep.
We think this movie's. They featured her on the movie poster.
Yep.
Right. It's like it's going to be a Drew Barrymore. No. So.
It is a very smart film. I think it's how smart it is eventually was its undoing in Scream 5, but in the original
Right.
it was very clever and original in the original. But yeah, it is a really, really fun movie, and it's an interesting film. It's I think it's just overstayed its welcome in 2022.
I don't. I
Not
don't
the original,
Like the new one.
the
Scream
franchise.
5.
The
I
franchise.
agree.
Yeah,
The
no,
franchise
no.
has
Yeah.
overstayed its
No.
welcome.
Well, and I think
Agreed.
one of the most important things about the making of the first Scream was Wes Craven's recognition of what what the status of the horror movie
Yeah,
was.
for
And
sure,
then,
for sure.
Right.
He did New Nightmare.
Yep.
And then he said, and then he decided, no, I really have to get into the fact that we've been perpetuating a lot of tropes and
It's tropes.
and I'm going to pay an homage to it and also make fun of what we've done, which was terrific from someone like Craven, who how you forget how sly that guy is, right? So, anyways, Scream. I think
Love it.
Yeah.
All right.
That is a
I think
huge.
it's
That is a huge.
appropriately placed.
You think 11 is appropriate for Scream?
I think definitely being in the top 20. Maybe
Okay.
11 is high, but
Okay.
definitely it needs to be in the top 20.
I was surprised it was so low the last time it came in our previous list.
I was gonna say 40 is about right. So
I'd
we got a high, medium, low there.
Yeah, I would have probably had it around maybe around
Ian,
20-ish, but
Ian, where are you at? Where you can be the tiebreaker?
What, with Scream?
Yeah,
A little high.
a little high. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
All right. Speaking of Mr. Wes Craven.
here it is.
Uh-oh.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984.
How close was this probably? So we are into the titans.
This is number
of
10,
the, of
right?
the genre. Yeah.
This is number 10.
Yeah.
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 Oh, yeah. It's a film that Mike Campbell once said is really about the horrors of suburban life. Do you stand by that, Mike Campbell?
I absolutely do. In fact, I watched this this past year. I think it showed up on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken, and I rewatched it because I had not seen it since 1984, and it is still a very chilling film. It is still a very well put together film, and it is not surprisingly not very dated at all.
It's really not.
I was really shocked at how well it holds up in 2022.
No, I'm right there with you. I think that because the franchise has gone for so long and how it got so cheeky.
Yep. Also, maybe overstayed its welcome.
Yeah, you forget you forget how frightening this movie was.
Yep.
And when you're a high school, like I was in high school when I watched this.
Yep.
And it's about it's dead teenagers, but this is not. These weren't stupid dead teenagers,
No.
Right. No.
And Heather Langenkamp was a heroine you could really galvanize around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Eric's number one rule:
Yep.
you care about the protagonist.
Yep.
Now, what about Johnny Depp? Where were you with Johnny Depp? Come on.
Of course, we
No,
care
it's
about
like-
Johnny Depp.
Johnny-
Or we did. He's
Yeah.
maybe overstayed his welcome a little bit.
But it was one of those things where you were like, don't go in the waterbed. It's like you're gonna go to sleep. That's like you don't do that.
In your crop top, listening to your Walkman.
Yeah.
So that maybe it is a little dated, but
Johnny Depp would go on to have later issues with beds and things.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, right.
yes, that's true.
But apart from problematic young actors who, this it was all the set pieces were spectacular, and it really was. This is not my bag. I mean, typically franchise slasher movies is not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is
Nightmare on Elm Street is definitely my favorite of the franchise.
I would. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Oh,
like of the
This
big
is-
three, like Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I think from an imagination and the fact that you can't get away from this guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like it's like how do you like just try staying awake, and that was
Right.
that whole premise stuck. But yeah, the fear. But it was suburban life. But then I mean, at the same time, that was Halloween's gig too.
Sure. Yep.
So
I still just cannot believe that they have not made a Freddy Krueger origin story movie yet. Like we all know that he was like the child molester and the in the boiler room and the parents burn him. I cannot believe they have not made that.
They went more into it in the
Yeah,
Nightmare
and
on
that
Elm
like
Street
new remake of it.
Yeah,
But
which
not-
was not good.
no.
And they explored
But not
in the original
on.
run somewhat. I think in the fifth or sixth one or something, they called him the bastard son of 1,000 maniacs, right? And
Right,
they
right,
talked
right.
About how
Yeah.
his mom was a nun who was raped in an insane asylum or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
but that they haven't done it like with somebody like as Freddy Krueger as the man before he becomes this, hideous,
Well,
disfigured,
right, kind of like you would have with,
nightmare stalker,
with,
like Freddy Krueger living his life.
I think part of the
can't believe I
problem
haven't done
here
it.
like
is
you would
that-
have with like Volok, right? So like they did,
Yeah.
they did Volok as a standalone
Yeah.
story, doing like a Freddy Krueger sort of standalone origin story.
But Freddy Krueger is much
Right.
scarier as a demon than he would be as a child. Well, I guess the child molester
Oh,
part would be
he's
a
a
different
child
thing.
molester.
Yeah, but do you want to watch a movie about him molesting kids? I don't know that's
No, but with the parents, like that whole story of how he became
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger,
and then string him up.
the
and
monster,
burn him.
I think
Yeah.
would be just I'm surprised it hasn't happened.
I think the difficulty
All I'm
is
saying.
that
Hollywood, I'm manifesting it.
Friday the 13th is limited because it developed.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
I'm sorry, Nightmare on Elm Street is limited because you're banking on Robert Englund, and he's too old to do a prequel. I mean, you just
Well, you wouldn't need it if you're doing an origin story.
Well, if you did an origin story, you recast it, but we've seen them try and recast it with Tim Blake Nelson.
No.
Wasn't Tim Blake Nelson who was the?
I don't remember who
Rorschach.
it was.
Right.
That guy.
His name is blanking on me. But yeah, just recast it with a younger version, like Mads Mikkelsen.
Someone younger.
Yeah, you'd have to nail the
I'll watch that.
the
Jackie Earle
individual
Haley.
Jackie Earle Haley.
Jackie
That's
Earle
right.
Haley.
Is
Okay,
another
so
three-name actor.
Right.
Yeah.
AKA Kelly Leak from one of the greatest movies of all time, Bad News Bears.
And he was also he was also in Breaking Away.
That's right.
It was
Also a great film.
Yes.
All right, but let's get back to the horror. Number
All right.
9.
Number 9.
All right, yeah, let's get back
is
in.
a film that is maybe a sequel, maybe a remake, kind of both. Definitely great.
Evil Dead 2.
Dead by Dawn.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Nice. Okay. All right. So this is Eric's comeback. This is where all of a sudden I start making up ground on you guys.
Uh-oh.
Because this one is one that I know all the beats. I know all the jokes. I know. Yeah, I love this movie. This is Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi having as much fun as you can on a set. It's the Three Stooges meets Night of the Living Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just gloriously fun.
Yep.
And also scary enough. It is not as scary as the first Evil Dead, but it is
The scares all come at the front end of the film, and then the jokes come at the back end of the film.
yeah.
Which is interesting because there was a film this year which just popped up on Shudder this past week, I think, called Deadstream, and it's not very good. I reviewed it at South by Southwest, and interestingly, I compared the two because in that film, the scares all come, or the jokes all come at the front end, and then they try to do the scares at the back end, and it doesn't work. But with Evil Dead, that's the brilliance behind it, is that it scares you, scares the hell out of you, but then it lets you off easy, and you leave the theater with both feelings.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The humor and just sort of the gross out comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Cutting off his own hand and who's laughing now? That all that, and then or the Ted Raimi in the fat witch outfit in the basement, cackling and and trying to get out of the basement. You also have I think a better supporting cast this time out.
Sure.
They had a chance to actually get a slight step up from the acting crew and polishing up the same kinds of effects that they did the first time out, and just so much blood and vomit and wackiness. The whole chainsaw arm. I mean, come on, these are love Evil Dead 2.
And this completes the trilogy on the top 100. All 3 have appeared.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Right.
pretty cool, but not the TV show. Not
Yeah,
the TV
no.
show.
So this was number 7 on my list.
Number 7. Okay.
All right, Eric's making a comeback,
There you
making a move on Liz here. Here we go. Come on.
Number 7 on
All
Eric's
right.
list.
Number 8 is a film that Liz Williams once said is a classic 80s horror movie. The whole family can agree on An American Werewolf in London.
All right.
Oh, very good.
Good
Very
one.
good.
Okay. Did not on my list.
Not on anyone's
Not on my
list
list
here.
either.
This
Uh-oh.
I
But-
know that
But the whole family can agree on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Just not on our list. We agree it should be here.
Another one where you a great mix of comedy and horror.
Right.
More horror than
Yeah.
comedy, but
And Nazi werewolves? I mean, come on.
yeah, the Nazi werewolf dream was just
You can't beat Nazi werewolves. That is just a I say unexpected and wild ride that's probably never been duplicated in a film.
no, but the transformation scene has not been topped.
Yeah, it's so good.
That you can try it with CGI, but it ain't as convincing as what they pulled off with the hydraulics and playing Bad Moon Rising.
Mm-hmm.
It was just you couldn't take your eyes off of it, and it was just like, it's also masterful editing because it was like a little bit of hydraulics here, a little bit of just raw costume there, back and forth. Oh, perfect. And they convinced you that he was turning into a werewolf. The downside is that the werewolf itself looked kind of like a fluffy dog.
Right. Now, you mentioned Joe Dante. Where are you at with The Howling?
The Howling is close.
Because I'm surprised The Howling did not
make the list. Yeah,
because it's actually a pretty. If you go back and watch The Howling, I mean, even just that opening scene. I know we're not talking about The Howling, but even the opening scene with Dee Wallace, it's a pretty dark film, and it stays pretty dark. And I'm kind of shocked that it's not talked about in the same reverence as American Werewolf in London.
and they came out almost concurrently.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I'm trying to remember. Has there been another werewolf movie on the top 100 yet? Is this the only one to show up?
Oh boy, could be.
The Wolfman did not.
Monster
No.
Squad.
Oh yeah, Monster Squad.
There you go.
There
Yeah.
it is, Monster Squad. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, because you're right. There's Dog Soldiers did not make the list, which I
Yet.
yeah we got 8 more.
6 more to go.
Yeah,
Or no, Werewolves on Wheels is not on the list, sadly.
No wolf cop.
werewolves on wheels.
No
Or
Wolf Cop.
Late phases. Yeah. This is John Landis. He is a lot of fun to listen to. Just talking about this movie. If you ever get a chance, because he did a tribute for Mick Garris and.
Right.
And he and Joe Dante, they like to compare notes.
Right.
So if you really want to get some sort of because they were riffing off of each other, and I think the special effects teams were kind of splitting duty, and so it was like who was doing what.
Right.
So, anyways, but that's another great werewolf transformation. I'm surprised The Howling didn't make it, but I love American Werewolf in London. No disrespect to it landing in the top 20.
All right, well,
awfully high. 9 is high.
Yeah,
It's 8.
8. Wow, really high.
All right, let's.
Number 7 is a film that Eric Lee once said is not a pleasant film. It's the 1974 movie The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay.
Hell yeah. This is definitely on my list. It was on the list before, and it's on my list again.
It's your number 5.
Number 5, yeah. It's like you can go back and watch this film, and it is not dated. It is still as chilling, and it will scare the holy hell out of you on so many different levels. And I still contend the John Larroquette, and yes, it is that John Larroquette.
For those of you who are
yes,
you youngins, he did also something called Night Court.
did Night Court and a million other things. But yeah, John
Mostly Night
Larroquette
Court.
and did with the opening bit is. Man, just a chilling bit of business that again people have tried to replicate it a million times and they definitely have, but it doesn't stand up as close to that opening as he came up with.
Right. This is Matt Howell's number 1.
Yep.
This is also 2 of our podcasting brethren, Justin and Andy from Straight Chillin'. This is their number 1s.
Yep.
This is Ultimate Hillbilly Horror.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is also
First and best.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's never been bested.
Ultimate Grindhouse.
Yep.
Straight down to the burned out, overcooked film footage.
Yep.
That kind of sticky, dirty feel that it has. Played kind of, and I mean, it pre-Blair Witched, sort of that sense of authenticity. Just and it's and just the name of it. I mean, it's just nasty.
Yep.
It is more than I Spit on Your Grave, more than Last House on the Left. This was the one that
no.
This was the one. Well, no, but as far as what broke, right?
Yeah.
What sticks in the people's consciousness, if you say 70s nasty, and truthfully, it's actually not the first movie's not as gory as you expected to be, but it just just the idea of
a lot of it's very implied.
Yeah, although the meat hook.
Yeah,
that was. I mean, a lot of stuff that looked really, really painful.
Do not go watch 2022's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm here to tell you, it is a pile of garbage.
It's boring. I don't know. It's dark. You can't see anything, and it's boring.
Although the early 2000s remake with Jessica Biel, surprisingly good.
It is surprisingly good. And Texas Chainsaw 2 and 3 are very good. And the Matthew McConaughey Texas Chainsaw is pretty brilliant. I would almost argue it's the second best in the Texas Chainsaw franchise.
I've never seen it, but I'd like to think that Matthew McConaughey gets killed by Leatherface and is like, ow, oh, ow, oh, ow. Hey,
All
put
right.
a meat hook through my chest.
All right.
Not cool, guys. Not cool.
Be a lot cooler if you did.
But the thing about the original Texas Chainsaw, it's like A Nightmare on Elm Street. It plays it straight.
Yep.
It is a straight up, not a comedy horror at all. It is straight up in your face, freak you out horror movie.
Now,
Give you nightmares.
I mean, as we were just talking about with Psycho, like seeing Psycho in 1961, can you imagine seeing Texas Chainsaw in 1974? I think it was sort of the same kind of thing. I mean, that would definitely genre defining, definitely the kind of thing that you would not think you were going to be experiencing when you were going out for a night at the movie theater or the drive-in.
I was going to say,
Right.
That's exactly right. You're not seeing it at a movie theater unless you're in like some dirty Times Square flop house kind of a theater. You're seeing it in the back of a pickup truck.
Right.
At the drive-in. That's the way you're supposed to see it.
Which is maybe even more terrifying.
Right. And then your buddy in the next truck over who comes over and does a jump scare on you while
Yeah.
in the back of the pickup.
All right, number
6. Number 6 made the Scariest Things greatest horror openings of
Ooh,
all time.
okay.
I could tell you the title, or I could just say, Bottom.
Shark Week.
Yeah, it's Jaws from 1975.
Yeah.
Eric Lee's number 3.
Yep. And Jeff Dean's number 1. So this is this is movie making perfection.
So myself and my youngest son just this past year watched Jaws 2, 3, and 4. Jaws: The Revenge, and I'm here to tell you that's exactly how they land. Jaws 2, 3, and 4.
But there is
Jaws 3 is better than Jaws 4. I will tell you that right here and right now.
And Jaws 3 is an awful movie.
Yeah.
and so it goes from exponentially. It's like it gets. What is the opposite of an exponential curve? or it's
an inverse curve.
It starts off like the first movie is one of the great movies ever made.
I'll also tell you this: the second one does not get enough credit because it too is very, very good.
It also has the best sequel tagline ever.
Oh, yeah.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water.
Yep.
Jaws 2.
Yeah.
Is that the tagline from that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it has one of the great movie posters. They all had great movie posters. Well, Jaws: The Revenge seemed by that time it got a little bit silly, but there was like the water skiers from Jaws 3.
Yeah.
But no, it's built on the back of Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, and
Roy
Scheider as three personalities who, for different reasons, are going out to go Moby Dick and this giant shark and go kill him.
Let me ask you this, Eric. Will you swim in the ocean now?
I have serious trepidations I love snorkeling. I love going. I love swimming in the ocean. I do not like swimming where I can't see the bottom, and it's because of Jaws. I mean, it's just between Jaws and Open Water, which is one of my movies that was, I think, number 23 on my list. There are things where just that is one of my. You just getting eaten by a shark lost at sea. That's that one, it's possible, and two, it's just that seems like just an awful way to go.
Oh, you don't think that'd be cool? Like, because you can.
I mean, if you're gonna go out, you might as well get eaten by a shark, and get mauled by a bear. I don't know.
That seems kind of cool.
Okay.
At least you're feeding an animal.
That's right. Yeah, something's getting some benefit out of it.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Ready for number 5?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're there.
All right.
We're there. This is it.
Just before the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Ooh.
The year before, in fact. Yet another highly disturbing horror movie.
Oh, my gosh.
Widely considered to be the scariest film ever made.
Agreed.
The Exorcist.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So good.
Mm-hmm.
Emphasis on the hell.
It took me 3 times to actually get to the back end of this movie because I was a kid when I first couple times and I chickened out twice.
Yep.
So it wasn't until by the third time I was in my 20s.
What part did you chicken out at?
I think
where she comes down the stairs and her head pops
yes.
open.
Yes. Well, then when I was a little kid, I barely made it.
Sure.
And this was actually sanitized because it was on network television.
Right.
And so they couldn't. I don't know how they managed to get away with showing it on ABC.
Right.
Because it's like the whole back half of the movie, you can't show anything of it. They just, I guess they'd have to imply everything. I don't know because I didn't get to the end of it. I was too chicken. But then it's a scary ass movie.
Liz, was it on your list?
No, it is not on my list.
Exorcist 3 though.
3 is
but not. So why? So are you not a fan of the original Exorcist?
No, I really, really like it.
Okay.
I just like Exorcist 3 better.
Okay.
I'm not a possession movie person. Like if I had to pick what I was gonna watch.
Exorcist.
I love The Exorcist.
Does have a lot more 80s basketball stars in it.
Yeah, this is true.
100% more 80s basketball stars.
Yeah, the power of the situation and the powerlessness of being a mother.
I thought you were going to say the power of Christ
compels you to tell you that this movie, when we talk about slow builders, it's a builder, but it's not a slow builder.
No.
The dread gets on you fairly quickly, and by the time you're in the actual exorcism scene, it is just it's vomit on the ceiling, spinning head, just madness, and all to the point where when we say, but by the time I saw it in my 20s, I was sort of braced and ready for some of the action that was coming because some of the things are just so iconic.
Yep.
But if you went into the theater the first time, Lord help you.
I would encourage folks, because I'm sure most of the people listening to the podcast have seen The Exorcist, but if you haven't seen it, the 2019 documentary Leap of Faith with William Friedkin is pretty incredible because it's really just his ruminations. There's nobody else that's interviewed for this film, just William Friedkin. It's currently showing on Shudder, and it is fascinating, and he takes you down so many paths about the influences, how the film was developed, why things were shot the way they were shot, and how he got the various motivations out of the actor. It's an incredible, incredible dive into a film. And of course, we've talked a lot about the director of the film, Alexandra O. Felipe, who has done a whole series of other
His
great...
Alien one is also
The Alien
excellent.
was excellent as well, yeah. But this one is really, really good. And if you were at all curious about, or if you're jonesing for more Exorcist and can't wait until 2023's remake of The Exorcist, this will help supplant those interests.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4 is a film that Mike Campbell did not have on his list in 2018.
But I did now.
And when you discovered that in 2018, Mike, you said that was an error. I demand a recount. How you forgot to put Halloween on your list.
Hell
Oh, my
yeah.
gosh.
Yes, and yes.
You went all the way to number 2
Yeah.
this last time.
Yeah. No, jumped
Mike's-
up with a no, where was Halloween previously on our list? Was it somewhere around here, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was number 5 last time, so
Number
it jumped
5.
up one spot.
Jumped up one spot.
Yeah.
All right.
Interestingly, though, not on Eric's list and not on Liz's list.
Okay.
Nah.
Now have you gone back and rewatched the original Halloween?
Me?
Either.
I've seen it twice.
Okay.
But it's been a long time.
Okay.
I haven't felt the
I've
need
seen
to.
it multiple times.
I-
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know Halloween's not my bag.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's like I
But
respect it.
but the original though.
No,
The ori-
yeah,
not,
I mean,
I'm not
it's-
talking about the whole pantheon of
No,
Halloween.
but I mean, in general, the notion of the mad slasher is not my. That's
Oh, sure, sure, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like we've got a couple of movies that are going to come up in the next 3 that probably are not necessarily your take. You respect them, but it's
Right,
not.
right.
It's not your bag.
Right.
Right.
For me, Halloween, the greatest slasher movie of all time. It's still. For me, it's not something that I really feel a need to go back to.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
it's funny. This movie, I feel like, shares a lot in common with some of the other ones we've talked about tonight, like Jaws and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Evil Dead 2, where it feels like a real fly-by-the-seat-of-your-pants guerrilla filmmaking kind of movie.
Oh yeah,
Right.
for sure.
It does not feel polished. It feels raw
Yeah.
in
yeah.
that way. And I wonder if that is part of what elevates some of these movies to so high up on the list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, up to and including the production around it was so shoddy and fly by the seat of your pants that they shot it in the spring in Pasadena, and they had no leaves and they had no pumpkins. They got these weird Mexican gourds and used those as stand-ins for the pumpkins, and they painted them, and they had about 5 of them, and they had to keep repurposing them throughout the course of the film. And then they had a bag of leaves that they kept sprinkling throughout the film.
Right,
And-
they only had one to break, because there's that scene where the kid falls over and breaks the pumpkin, right?
Right,
And
right.
I remember hearing that they really only had one to break, and so they had to get that nothing shot perfect on the first time.
Yeah. So I think you're right. I think you're spot on with that that thought in that. I think what really resonates for so many people is just the raw authenticity of these films, and I think that authenticity comes forward by the fact that they're not overproduced, they're not over-directed, they're not focus grouped. There truly is a rawness to them, and I think that's what really sticks with people.
I think that some of the filmmaking techniques that John Carpenter pulled out, the long tracking shot, the follow shot.
Well,
right?
yeah,
And
that Panavision constituted, like, I can't remember what it was, but it was like 60%. The Panavision camera that they got, that constituted like 60% of the film's budget was just that freaking camera.
Right, because he was just getting his career started at this point, so he wasn't actually, well established, superstar director John Carpenter that he eventually became. So, yeah, but this set him up for all the. I think one of the remarkable things is actually like Wes Craven kind of stayed in a lane, sort of in the slasher lane, where Carpenter kind of went 1,000,001 different directions.
Yep.
Right. I mean, but he stayed within the horror genre.
Yep.
But he did a little bit of everything, which is a lot of fun.
And he's still involved with Halloween today in 2022.
So the Halloween ended up on the top of a lot of lists. Let's see, here we go. As I say, here we go. Jared Rogers is his number one. Dean Bertram from Dean is the director of the Midwest Weird Fest. That's his number one. We've got it. It is for fans of slashers. It's the pilgrimage movie.
Yep. All right, let's get to the top 3.
All right.
Let's do it.
For anyone who was listening in 2018, you remember that the number 1 film was Alien.
Yeah.
This time around, it's number 3.
Oh,
Takes a tumble.
Big drop. That's kind
Tumble
of
of two.
That's kind of a
Tumble
big.
of two.
It's kind of a big drop.
Well, to
Well,
go
it's a
from number one to anything else.
And you're number
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the king is dead. Long live the king. This is
No,
our friend.
No, the queen.
The queen is dead.
Come on, Eric.
Yeah,
Have you actually seen this movie?
So this is number one for a lot of folk, or was Gwen, our friend from
Yep.
HB Lovecraft Film Festival and Portland Horror Film Festival. It's her
Portland
number
Horror
one.
Film Festival.
Lee Despain from Dread, Fright, and Brew. That's his number one.
Yep.
So this, and it's on over half the lists.
Right.
It is because it's so good.
Well, and you just
It is
mentioned
so good.
you just mentioned the documentary that Alexander Felipe did, and yeah, what really strikes me about the documentary, and I think the reason why this film, which is opposite from what I was just saying in terms of the sort of the rawness and indie filmmaking. This one, man, this was a decade plus in the making, and there was a lot of thought and a lot of craft that went into this film. Opposite, I think, Halloween, which was a little bit, and Texas Chainsaw, which was a little bit more chaotic. There was a lot of thought that went into this film.
Yes, and the Dan O'Bannon script, and how it went through a number of different gyrations to become what it came to be. And H.R. Giger, who was brought on, but 20th Century Fox went, hell no, not this guy. This guy's too weird to.
And he was relatively
accept
unknown
this.
too at that point.
So was Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott was he had done a couple of things, and he was mostly a advertisement director.
Yep.
But he was sort of the hot new director with a clear visual sense, and O'Bannon and Scott held their ground and said, we want Giger. And then and there you go. I mean, I can't imagine the movie without the xenomorph in.
Well,
we've
if
talked about this
if you want to
before.
see the origin of Alien, just go watch the Green Slime, and that's it.
And then watch Aliens
Well,
on stage.
And then watch Aliens on
What did Dan O'Bannon say? He said, "Oh,
I didn't just rip off one film; I ripped off like 30 films."
I was like, yeah, I didn't steal it from anyone. I still stole from everyone."
Right.
And which was an homage because it was built on myth and a lot of that, and that's actually what Felipe gets at.
Yep.
But this isn't a story about that documentary. It's about this movie, which now this one was one. When I told you that I had my buddy Mike who reenacted Friday the 13th for me.
Right.
We would all. This was another one where I didn't get a chance to see this until 7 years after it was made because it was sort of off limits, and until it's like I got my hand on a VHS player. But every quote, every move, it's like I know the entire crew.
Yep.
When they get dispatched, how they get dispatched, and they're all. Each one of those is frightening moments.
Oh yeah,
and everybody knows them. I mean, it's like whether it's Brett or Parker or the traitor and Ash with the robot. It was like that seemed to come out of nowhere.
Liz, was this on your list?
No.
Okay.
I really feel like this is more sci-fi.
Yeah.
Oh.
To be so high up. That was my problem last time, though, too.
Yep. Yeah, and this is. I think where does it show up on my list? This is number
7 on your list.
7 on my list.
Yeah.
Oh, it dropped a little there too.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we saw the drop of 3 spots.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 2.
Speaking of movies that Liz Williams has a problem with.
Uh-oh.
Liz Williams once said, if I was on the episode of most overrated horror movies, this would have been on my list.
And doesn't get much higher rated than number 2.
Liz, are you disappointed to see that The Shining is once again the number 2 best horror movie of all time?
I am not surprised. And I know I'm in the minority of not loving this film. No.
Yeah, Eric, was this on your list?
Nope.
Oh, it was on my list.
Yep.
Because it scared the bejesus out of me.
It scared me when I saw it, but I don't know. I've watched it again, and it's just I do not share the love that so many people do for this film.
Yeah.
It's
I
okay.
think how much you love it is probably directly tied to how much you love Jack Nicholson's performance in the movie.
I would probably agree with
because
that.
this movie is 100% Jack Nicholson being
don't-
Jack Nicholson.
Don't sell
Yeah.
out Shelley Duvall.
All right, I won't.
She's amazing too.
You're right.
Shelley
You're right.
Duvall, who probably crushed her career from the torment that Stanley Kubrick put her through.
Oh, come on. Or
to get to this.
Scatman.
Yes, Scatman Crothers. He's-
But I'm saying your like or dislike of The Shining, I don't think is going to be dependent on Shelley Duvall. I think it'll probably be dependent on how much you like Jack Nicholson and
Yes.
what
Yeah.
he's doing.
Wow.
You know,
Well, we talked about this a little bit when we talked about Silence of the Lambs. Isn't that I rewatched Silence of the Lambs this past year because I knew it was coming up, and it was interesting because while I think when you first see Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, it really is chilling, but now it's become it's become jokey. I think to a certain extent, Jack Nicholson probably suffers from a little of that as well because his performance is so ubiquitous and everybody knows so many of the lines and the elements of his performance that it is also maybe a little less frightening, but and a little more jokey than it previously came off as.
Well, yeah, the here's Johnny. Oh, yeah, that bit. But it's one of if you watch the Oscars and that they do famous clips because when they're just killing time or showing famous clips from movies, they will show Shining clips because they are so impactful. It
looks great. I get why people love it, but I just am not one of those people.
It is.
And it was not on your list?
Nope.
Oh, wow.
But Brian Barton Grimley from Hawk and Rev.
Yeah.
That's his number one movie.
Yep.
One of my buddies, Kelly Cady. That's his number one. Kean Dowdy, the kid from It's like I don't know how it's like. Wow, you're like 13 years old and you watch The Shining. I think I saw it when I was 13. Okay. Yep. All right. Yeah. That it's.
Eric, was it on your list last time?
Nope. No, I mean, because it's one of those movies where, again, I understand the raw excellence of the movie and the performances are astounding. The visual composition. I of course wear the Shining Overlook floor print. I got the T-shirt. I had a mask of it. I think there are some things that are so they're touchstones, and we also talked about this in the best trailers where it shows the elevator and the blood pouring out of the elevator
and it scrolls backwards.
Yeah, it's just it's
the words scroll backwards rather.
Yeah. Crazy amazing filmmaking. And
one of the very few films that I would argue is better than the book it was based on.
Yes.
I agree. I actually read the book about 5 years ago, and because I was just curious. I had never read the book, and I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. And I sorry, Stephen King, I know this is your 75th birthday, but I'm going to wholeheartedly disagree with your assessment of The Shining.
Yeah.
I think the film is better than your book. Your book is awful damn good, but the film is just way better.
Yeah. Yeah, darker than Stephen King's book too, I would say.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, and I think that Kubrick's ability to understand the power of the imagery, and I think Stephen King loves dialogue, and this is somewhat dialogue light and visual heavy.
Yep.
The movie.
Well, yeah, go see Room 237.
That's a weird movie. That's a weird documentary. It's cool, really cool.
There is no other film on our top 100 list that has drawn so much ire and so much interest and so many different conspiracy theories about it that they decided that they had to make a wholly separate film about it. And I think that speaks volumes to the lasting impact of this film. The fact that people have very definite conspiracy theories about the visuals and the design around the film. That speaks volumes.
People trying to find hidden meanings in everything.
No one's trying to find hidden meanings in Nightmare on Elm Street.
No.
All right. The number one film of all time. Just to put it in perspective, our number 100 film got 52 points. The number 2 film got 700 points. This film got 903 points.
I think this is my movie.
Eric loves Piranha 3 Double D.
Yeah.
We did it, guys. We got it to number one. It's The Thing from 1982. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
It was
Thing.
it was number 3 last time, so jumps up 2 spots.
Yeah.
Okay. So Alien and the thing switched.
Swap.
They swapped
Yeah.
places. One science fiction film for another, and dare I say, the better film won.
Agreed.
But it's this.
You think Thing is better than Alien?
It's my number one.
I do.
Okay.
Oh, Liz agrees.
All right.
Now, we've heard a lot about Eric's love of The Thing
Yeah.
on this podcast. Liz, you're being pretty vocal right now. Do you also love this movie?
I do love this movie, and this will be Wayne will agree with you. That's my husband's number one, and we just went and saw the 40th anniversary presentation on the big screen. That was fun. I love The Thing. I think it's a great, creepy, scary movie, and I love the mythos. I love the effects. They, while not as great, they still hold up as pretty cool effects. I love this movie. I have no problem with this one usurping the title from Alien.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about this.
Yeah, Eric
clearly-
is speechless.
Clearly, it wasn't just me. There are. I mean, this.
Yeah.
This is
900 points.
900 points.
103, yeah.
Yeah. So my one of my horror trivia buddies, partners, Brendan Watkins. This is his number one. It is. Let's see here. There's John Ryan Howard. It's his number one. I know it's Robert Zilbauer's number one. And it finishes number. Yeah. It is very high on a lot of. I mean, 900 points. It's just it. It's one of those movies that everybody agrees that this is 100%. No one's going to say this is science fiction first, horror second.
Right.
This is
Right.
It is. But the science fiction elements are strong.
Sure.
It's a movie about paranoia. It's a movie about about trust and sort of the actors were all Broadway stage actors, and they were all, and so that they, with the exception of Kurt Russell, and they all looked up to him because he'd been a movie star since he was young, and so he sort of talked to them about sort of about how Hollywood stuff worked, but they all did lots of run-throughs of how their interactions would work, so it felt like that this was actually an active group of people who knew each other, and you got that sense.
Yep.
And you have
Now
other things like
we have talked about this film plenty on this podcast. Why do you think it switched places with Alien?
I think
We did get multiple ballots from Eric Lee this year.
Yeah.
I thought that was suspicious. Very
I
suspicious.
Stop the steal.
I paid Ian $150
Rick Lee,
to
Eric L. Yeah.
Why?
It's not a massive switch, but
No,
it is a
it's-
switch nonetheless.
hard to say.
Okay.
Because I think
No, it didn't change. It didn't change in the ranking on your list, did it?
no,
Okay.
it's been my number one since 1980.
Tried and true.
Probably.
Okay,
It's like it's
okay.
been, there's.
40th anniversary, maybe.
Yep.
Who knows?
I think it does hold up. I think now. Granted, I think most of our jurors are 30-year-olds and up, right?
Sure.
We have a few younger people in there, but the thing has ended up on a lot of YouTube things, a lot of rewatch stuff, a lot of analysis has been put to it. And so if you're fans of streaming media, and you'll run into a lot of like theories of who was infected first, and,
Sure.
and what are the hidden meanings behind it. I mean, in a way that I think you can find a lot of the top 10 movies here get a lot of cross analysis.
Yeah.
But because it is such a spectacular, and also I think that the effects still do hold up, that
Sure.
there are a lot of people who, like younger people, who get challenged to say, did you know about this movie from 1982 called The Thing? And
Right.
I dare you to watch this. And then, the newbies or the normies who get into it and are not prepared for the intensity of the psychological part of it and the grossness of it.
Sure.
It startles the hell out of them. Where I think a lot of people who watch like French extremism go, oh, this is easy stuff, right? But for your average,
So you're saying it's the longevity of it that's.
Yeah, I think that it.
But now, why does that not apply to Alien though?
Well, I don't think I think it still does apply to Alien.
Okay.
Because it's number 3.
Sure.
Why it switched? I think it's probably it's personal tastes.
Okay.
I think that and maybe there's more people like Liz out there who think, well, Alien it's more science fictiony than and maybe
Yeah.
that dropped, or it's just the composition of our top 75. If we swapped out this 75 for another 75, I still think that both of these movies would end up in the top 10.
Sure.
And it might be in some other order. I think that we have a bunch of creature feature fans in this list, and
Right.
who knows?
Do you think that Alien has since become a bit tainted owing to the lackluster sequels that it received?
Potentially,
Minus Aliens, of course.
yeah. I mean that's a burden. I think Halloween carries some of that burden. What comes after it? I think if you had Alien and Aliens, full stop, you're good, right? Alien 3 was okay, and then the Aliens versus Predator movies were god awful.
Right.
And it's not as scary anymore because I think you can buy plushy aliens, and it's just you look at the thing and people kind of they've gotten used to what that creature is.
Yeah.
Where the idea of the thing being it could be Mike Campbell and he could split like a banana in front of me.
Oh God, he's doing it now.
So I think that's that portion of what scares you. And that may be more to the point of it, Mike, is that I think that when Alien first came out, nobody knew what the hell that thing was.
Right.
And
now they do.
Now they do. You can get cupcakes with Alien on them.
Right. So now it is truly the fear of the unknown.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. So how many places did John Carpenter appear on our list? My gosh.
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter
let's see.
He did well. I think.
Carpenter had 4 on the list.
Nice.
The Thing,
Yeah.
Halloween, Mouth of Madness, and The Fog.
Good job, John Carpenter.
Yeah, and-
I declare John Carpenter the winner.
Well, he's not the only director who had 4 on the list.
Yeah. So who else had 4?
Romero.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
All the Dead trilogy plus Creepshow.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
I'd
Yeah,
go-
Creepshow.
that's-
Okay.
I'm cool with that.
And
But those are the only 2 directors who had 4 on the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good list. I think we did well.
Yeah.
I think we did well. And we will be coming back to you with a recap of the top 100, where we will take a deeper dive into the analytics, thoughts, and feelings of the top 100 horror films of all time.
yeah, we'll get the full list and be able to digest that.
Yeah.
And so that'll be kind of fun just to be able to do a careful sift now that we know everything that transpired. Because I have some things that I'd like to sort of to pose to you guys about where some of these films ended up.
We'll hold that thought,
And
we'll
we'll
get
get
there.
back to you at the next one. So happy Halloween, everybody, because this thing should, by the time we release this, you should be about ready for trick or treating. So it's the month for scary movies. We hope we've given you plenty of movies to watch on your weekend binge, because this year Halloween falls on
a
the weekend.
Sunday.
And so you can
Sunday.
So
no, it falls on a Monday.
It's Monday. Yeah.
Monday, not a
Monday
Sunday.
the 31st.
Yeah.
Okay.
Falls on a Monday.
So for your Halloween prep, we recommend that you go through this top 100 list, find some movies that you actually want to rewatch or haven't yet. Better yet, see something new, and then we can by the time we get to the next week, then you can weigh in with your own opinions. So you can always contact us at info@scariestthings.com if you're curious about this. And it's been a huge endeavor. Thank you so much to Ian for helping compiling this. Thank you to everybody who contributed, all of our jurors who we had to badger, beg, and I won't say bribe, but there might have been a dinner or two that may have been required to get people to.
The thing appeared awful high.
That's right. Yeah. So, anyways, this has been a whole lot of fun, and we'll get back to you with our full analysis in the next part. That's everybody.